In order for you and I to understand the final 7 years of this age, we must first understand Daniel's 70-week prophecy. Pay attention. Daniel's 70-week prophecy is a prophetic clock that God has set in motion that counts down to the end of this age and the millennial reign of Jesus Christ. This prophecy also reveals that Israel and Jerusalem are the focal point of this prophecy being fulfilled. Now, this prophetic clock has three main focal points. The first is the command to rebuild Jerusalem. The second is the Messiah being cut off for sins. And the third is the final 7 years of this age. Now, before we go even further, we need to understand the word weeks. The word week simply means a period of 7. For example, in Genesis 29:27, Jacob worked for Laban, his uncle, for 1 week, which is noted to be 7 years. Therefore, Daniel's 70-week prophecy is simply 70 periods of 7 years, which totals 490 years. Now, in order to understand this prophecy, you must understand the context of Jerusalem at the time Daniel received this prophecy from the angel Gabriel. At the time of this prophecy, Israel was enduring a 70-year captivity. They were enduring a captivity to the Babylonians, by which the Babylonians, headed by King Nebuchadnezzar, destroyed Jerusalem. Now, after this captivity for 70 years, the children of Israel would then return to Jerusalem and then rebuild Jerusalem. And that's where you get the book of Nehemiah. It's also important to note that Israel's 70-year captivity was not just to the Babylonians, but also to Medo-Persia and to Greece. Now we can read the prophecy. Daniel 9:25 says this: "Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince," that's Jesus, "shall be 7 weeks," or 7 periods of 7 years. "And 62 weeks, or 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks, the Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary." Now, it's important to note that we have two princes spoken about here. One capitalized, which represents Jesus, and the other one isn't. This is going to come into play in understanding this prophecy later. Now let's break this down. From the time when the decree went forth to rebuild Jerusalem and the city and the wall is a period of 7 weeks, or 49 years. And this is phase 1 of the prophecy. And after Jerusalem and the temple are finished, we go to phase 2. Phase 2 is a 62-week waiting period from when the temple is finished to when the Messiah is cut off for sins. This is specifically speaking about Jesus' crucifixion. And when Jesus was cut off or crucified for sins, that marked the end of the 69th week. And how do we get 69 weeks? Phase 1 of 7 weeks added to phase 2 of 62 weeks is a total of 69 weeks, or 483 years prophetically. Now remember, the prophecy of Daniel is for 70 weeks, but we've only covered 69 of them. And so that leaves one final week, which is the last 7 years of this age. Now we understand that the last 7 years of this age has not come because we're simply still here. The second coming hasn't come, and the everlasting kingdom of Jesus Christ, which begins with the millennial reign on this earth, has not yet come. So between the 69th week and the 70th week is a 2,000-year gap, a break in the timeline, which is the time of the church age and the age of grace. This is the time where God would offer salvation for the rest of the world until the final week is initiated. And what initiates the final week? Verse 27 tells us, "When he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week." Now let's do our due diligence and go back to verse 26 to get further context. Daniel 9:26. "And after 62 weeks, or 62 weeks, shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince," remember the lowercase prince, "that shall come, he shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Now, what is this city that this prince will destroy? That's Jerusalem. And what is the sanctuary that this prince will destroy? That's the temple in Jerusalem. And in 70 AD, 40 years after Jesus was resurrected, there was a picture of this that happened when the Romans came in and destroyed Jerusalem. Jesus prophesied about this in Matthew 24. But that is only a picture of what the final ruler will do. All right, I need you to pay attention. The word sanctuary means holiness, and holiness can be referred to God himself, of things, and of places. And holy place is the context of Daniel 9:26. And in Matthew 24, verse 15, Jesus speaks about this holy place. He says here in verse 15, "When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place." This same holy place spoken of by Jesus is the same sanctuary spoken of by Daniel, Jerusalem. This same abomination of desolation spoken of by Jesus is the same prince or ruler that shall come to destroy the sanctuary spoken of by Daniel. And this is why Jesus references Daniel and says, "Whoever reads, let him understand." And who is this prince that shall come, also known as the abomination of desolation that will make Jerusalem desolate? The Antichrist. And so the final 7 years of this age is initiated when he, the ruler that shall come, the Antichrist, will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week or 7 years. And that's what we have here at the beginning of the timeline. Now let's continue on reading what it says. "And he shall confirm the covenant or alliance with many for 1 week. And in the midst or the middle of the week, or 3.5 years into it, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease." Or in other words, this is when he forcibly stops all worship to God and he becomes the Antichrist, being worshiped as God himself. "And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate." This is when he destroys Jerusalem and the sanctuary. "Even unto the consummation," that's the end, "and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate." So this final 7 years is confirmed by the prince or the Antichrist for 1 week. And 3.5 years into that covenant or that alliance, he breaks it. And he has a 42-month reign as God, little g, on earth. This is when the Antichrist will make war against the saints and overcome them. He will persecute them and cause many of them to be put to death. And this is also the time of Jacob's trouble, spoken about in Matthew 24, 15 through 28. The Bible prophesies during this time that 1/3 of the Jews will be cut off. Others will be forcefully removed from Israel and scattered amongst the nations. And then others of the Jews will flee to the mountains during this time and be in hiding until the return of Christ, by which he will save the remnant of the Jews that remain alive. And that is the final 7 years of this age. Now, circling back to this covenant that will be confirmed by the Antichrist in many for 1 week. This word covenant means alliance. And this covenant or alliance is between Israel, many nations, and he, or the prince, ruler that shall come, the Antichrist. Furthermore, the word alliance signifies that this is some sort of peace treaty between these nations. Now ask yourself, has there been a covenant or alliance with Israel and many nations brokered by a prince or a ruler in the political world? There has, and it's called the Board of Peace. And is it the one? Well, 3.5 years from February 19th, 2026. We'll find out, won't we?